What's going on, everybody? America Football Network here with another video today. And today we're bringing you our holiday bowl prediction between Louisville and USC. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment those thoughts and opinions down below. Check out the description for links to our shop, podcast, website, patron page, and our college football roundup channel. Got some exclusive college football content that comes out over there with the football expert. Help me hit that goal of 1,125 subs by the end of December. We're doing good, up over 1,100 right now, and closing in on that 1,125. So let's go ahead and hit that. Let's go on that. But let's go ahead and jump in and get started with today's video. So Louisville versus USC. This game will be played on December 27th at 8 o'clock on Fox, 8 o'clock Eastern time. That'll be 5 o'clock Pacific time. You look in this one, Louisville comes into this game 10-3 overall on the season. Um, had a pretty good year. They had some big wins, beat Notre Dame, but then, kind of disappointingly lost the next week to Pitt, and that was one of the things that potentially kept them out of the playoff is by losing that game because had they not lost that one and had they beaten Kentucky, they would have been in a spot. So before the Kentucky game, everybody was talking about, because I mean most people thought that Louisville was going to beat Kentucky, so everybody was talking about how if they and that Pitt game is going to keep them out of the playoff. But then obviously they proceed to lose the next two to Kentucky at home, and then in the ACC championship to Florida State. But you look at USC, a very disappointing year for them. Finished at 7-5 and fourth in the Pac-12. Not a great season for them this year as far as expectations were. Just you got to do better than that. Come on now, USC. But until they get the defense, they're not going to be successful, especially when you see some of these other teams in the league that they're in the Pac-12 that had not only a good offense that can move the ball on their defense at will, but also a good defense that can stop their offense, and so they um they weren't able to really have a successful season. And next year, whenever they go to the Big Ten, it's going to be much of the same. So they're gonna have to get figure out that defensive side of the ball and figure that out fast. Now, looking at some opt outs, transfers, and injuries for this game, see who will be playing, who won't be playing. To start for Louisville, in the portal, they got linebacker Jackson Hamilton. You look at him on the season for them, not really a whole lot of production, only 11 tackles on the year. He only played 55 snaps. You look at safety Josh Minkins, he's in the transfer portal. He got 227 snaps, had 21 tackles, and that was it. 18 solo, 3 assisted, nothing else for him on the board. You look at edge Cameron Wilson, he had 197 snaps on the season. He had 2 sacks and 14 tackles on the year. And you look at edge Raheem Craig, not really a whole lot out of him either. Just 3 tackles on the year, on just 27 snaps. So they're not really losing a whole lot of guys here. And you look at safety Cameron Kelly. He's entered into the NFL draft. He's their second leading tackler with 2 picks and 2 pass deflections as well as 2 forced fumbles. But he said he is still going to play in the bowl game, so they won't be without him. But he is going to the draft next year. You look for USC, and they've got a lot. Wide receiver Michael Jackson has entered the portal for the for the Trojans. 206 snaps on the year for him. He is their he's way down their list on receiving leaders, but 17 catches, 146 yards, a touchdown for him on the year. Wide receiver Raleek Brown only had 24 snaps on the year, just 3 catches for 18 yards. You look at tight end Jude Wolf, he only got 65 snaps. He was actually their lowest receiving guy this year, had the least amount of yards of any other player that caught a pass. Even Caleb Williams had more receiving yards than him. He had 2 catches for 5 yards. You look at running back Darlin Barlow, just 22 snaps for him, only 8 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown. Um, Look at D lineman Dejon Benton, 223 snaps on the year for him, but he hasn't played since week 10. So I mean, he was probably going to be out anyways. But he did have some solid stats for him on the year. 12 tackles for 1.5 sacks. So that's who's going to be in the or one more linebacker, Chris Thompson, only 13 snaps for him on the year. Those are guys who are in the transfer portal for USC. Now look at their opt outs. Starting quarterback Caleb Williams has opted out, and that's going to be a big loss as he prepares for the NFL draft. Probably going to be the first overall pick, or at least the first quarterback taken in the draft. You look at running back Marshawn Lloyd, their leading rusher, and this one has on the year has opted out as well. Look at him, 116 carries for 820 yards. Also added in 13 receptions for 232 yards, and had, let's see, 9 total touchdowns on the season. You look at wide receiver Brendan Rice. He's their second leading receiver. He has opted out, 45 catches, 791 yards, and 12 touchdowns on the year for him. But they will still have Zachariah Branch and Taj Washington. They're their first and third leading receivers on the year. And then another guy to watch for, as of the time I'm making this video, he's still projected to, like, he still hasn't came out and said anything, but watch for the safety Kalen Bullock to potentially opt out for the NFL draft to to see if he says anything again at the time of this video being recorded at 10:12 a.m. on December 13th. He's not said anything. He's haven't heard really anything on him, but we'll watch for that. Then some injuries for USC. The starting right guard slash right tackle played a little bit of both. Jarrett Kingston, he missed the finale with an injury, potentially could be out for this one. So that's some stuff to watch there for this game. But now to my biggest three factors here for the game. Number one is Malachi Nelson and Miller Moss. I mean, these guys are filling some pretty big shoes and taking over the quarterback role for Caleb Williams. Not sure which one's going to start. I would assume Miller Moss. He's got a little bit more action on the season. Nelson's just attempted 3 passes, one of three. Miller Moss is 23 of 32, 309 yards and a touchdown. So I would I would assume that Miller Moss is probably going to get the start at least for the majority of the game. They might run some stuff where they switch in and out between Nelson and Moss, or if Moss isn't working, then they switch Nelson in. But I would assume he's going to be the starter. But regardless of who runs out there for USC, they're going to have to find these playmakers at receiver, and they're going to have to find them fast. They're going to have to get the ball in Branch and Washington's hands. Um, as well as maybe some running back screens or something, to because this Louisville defense loves to bring pressure. They love to play fast and attack the ball. So if you can hit them with some screen passes to mess up those blitz packages, that would be huge as well. And then you look number two for me in biggest three factors is this Louisville run game, because to me they're going to control the game. They're going to tire that defense out for the Trojans. They can tire them out with Jawar Jordan, their workhorse, 181 carries for 1,100 yards, 6.5 yards a carry, 13 touchdowns, as well as Isaac Garindo, 109 carries, 649 yards, 6 yards a carry, and 8 touchdowns. So they've got a good 1-2 punch there at the running back room, and I expect them to control the ball, control the game, keep it out of USC hands. Make that defense work for them, tire them out, just control the possession, and just go win the football game. And I expect that's how they would do it. I think that they're going to really put an emphasis on running the football and controlling the game. But if USC can get a stop and can stop that run game, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Louisville, and kind of probably ease some off of Miller Moss and Malachi Nelson, who are both very talented guys. So it's not like that they're incapable of performing well in this game and leading USC to a victory. I just think it's going to be difficult against a team like Louisville, who can, like I said, can really control the football, especially when you look at your defense. And they had a hard time stopping people all year, and now they lose some pieces off of that. Louisville still has their full offense, pretty much. So It's going to be a tough task for them, but if Louisville can establish a run game, I think that puts them in a great position to win the game. If USC can stop the run game, I think that that gives them some added momentum, gives some confidence to these young quarterbacks, and who knows what could happen with that. But the third biggest factor is this Louisville pass rush. If they're giving Nelson and Moss all day to throw, these guys are talented enough and these receivers are talented enough that they're going to get open and they're going to find them. If you're Louisville, you want to get a pass rush. They got 34 sacks on the year and 233 sack yards lost. So that's almost like 7 yards a sack. The reason I point that out is because that is a big thing that really matters that is kind of overlooked. When you look at a good example I always use for the sack yards lost is when Clemson played Sam Hartman at Wake Forest, both years, both at Clemson and both at Wake Forest. I believe it was the year they played at Clemson. Clemson had like 8 sacks on him, but they weren't losing a whole lot of yards. Wake Forest wasn't because he only takes about 2 steps back. So you're only losing about 2, 3 yards a sack on the play. But Louisville's averaging losing well, they're averaging making their opponents lose about 7 yards, 6.8 to be exact, per play or per sack, which is just incredible that they're getting after guys and they're losing that many yards on one play. Um, so that is a big thing to look at is the sack yards lost because yes, Clemson had like 8 sacks against Sam Hartman that year, but they only lost like I think it was only like 30, 40 yards off of it. It wasn't a whole lot when in terms of, looking at what what teams usually lose whenever if you're giving up 8 sacks, usually you're probably up close to 60, 70 yards lost just cuz a lot of those and even a few of them are going to be double digit yards lost, but um that's one thing to really keep an eye on with that is just how many yards are lost because that also there's a big difference between having it 2nd and 13 and 2nd and 17. There's a lot different more things that you can do with the ball and the play call on that play. So I think this Louisville pass rush has to get after them. Not give these quarterbacks any time. Maybe even get a few hard hits on them to start the game, shake them up a little bit. Make them a little shy back there, not willing to stand in and take a hit as much, and just kind of mess with them mentally as well. Because if you can get these guys off mentally, then you're going to be in a pretty good spot. But now on to my score prediction. So Louisville is favored by 8 in this game, and I think that they cover that. I have them winning this one 27-17. I just think with that USC defense, it's just not good enough for me to pick them to win a game. And there's just so much uncertainty. They're losing a whole lot. Louisville basically returns everything. And so I'm just not sure how USC is going to fare. I think Louisville is going to run the ball effectively. I think they're going to control the game offensively and just really limit the amount of touches that USC gets. And I think that they will end up winning at 27-17. But that wraps up today's video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment those thoughts and opinions down below. Let me know what you thought of this one, what your opinion on this game is, who you think will win. Let me know all that stuff in the comments. Let me hit that goal of 1,125 subscribers by the end of December. Appreciate all of you guys watching, and we'll see you next time.